Unfortunately, while the Supreme Court demanded a very heavy burden of proof from the Muslim parties, for the Hindu parties, their mere belief that this place is the birthplace of Lord Rama was considered enough. And that, according to me, is one of the great shortcomings of this judgment. It didn't start in 1950s. The dispute in terms of legal debate started in 19th century. There were 3 suits filed. In all the 3 suits, the Muslim claim was accepted. The Hindu claim was about a race platform outside the mosque, but even that was not accepted as the birthplace of Lord Rama or the ownership of Hindus. And ideally, as per principle of res judicata, once a dispute has been finally decided by the court, it cannot be reopened. But in 1949, surreptitiously, on the night of 22nd of November, idols were put in the mosque by breaking the lock. And since then, mosque was locked, but prayer continued. Then in 1992, the mosque was demolished. So this has been a long legal battle. During this period, the prayer used to take place in the morning and in the morning and in the evening, as per the Hindu rituals. So while worship continued, Muslims were prevented from praying there. And in 1986, I think on 1st of February, the district court opened the lock and permitted public worship without even hearing the original suit parties. It was not a demolition of place of worship ordered by a fanatic king. It was a place of worship which was protected by the constitution, protected by country's law, which was brought down by the people in a democracy. And that's why if you read next year's editorials, people said it was a shameful act, it was a destruction of the constitution. And even Supreme Court in its last year's judgment has accepted that it was an illegal act, an egregious wrong. So one was really shocked to see not a place of worship coming down, but place of worship coming down with very active support of the central government and the state government and by the people themselves. And that is terrible, because in our history, in the history of the world, we have seen churches being demolished, mosques being demolished, temples being demolished, but they were demolished in monarchy because of the madness of some fanatic kings. Here you had a democracy in a broad daylight, in spite of all the promises which the Chief Minister of UP, Kalyan Singh, has made to the Supreme Court. People were asking Supreme Court, Attorney General was asking Supreme Court to do something, but even Supreme Court did not do enough. And thereafter Supreme Court said, oh, we misread the situation. It's terrible to see a place of worship coming down, be it of your religion or any other religion. Faith is irrelevant to determine property dispute. It was purely a civil suit which should have been decided as per the civil law of the country. Faith is irrelevant. If I believe your property is mine, that does not mean that law can evict you and give your property to me. This is interesting. You had a dispute between local Hindus and local Muslims, and then for political purposes, Sushma Swaraj is on record. The leader, when she died, she was she also served as a minister in Vajpayee's government, and then against Prime Minister Modi's government as External Affairs Minister. She had said it in Madhya Pradesh that this is not a religious issue, it's a political issue, and it will give us rich political dividends. So the whole issue was nationalized, and then suddenly in 1989, some people go to the court on behalf of Lord Rama himself, and they enter as a party. And finally, the land was given to Lord Rama. Now, if you have people who believe in God and their God comes to them seeking justice, it's very difficult, extremely difficult that they would be able to, decide that kind of matter. I think the court knew that Muslims have been wrong, both in 1949 as well as in 1992. They said it so in their judgment. Since they decided the title in favor of Hindu parties, and of course on what they called preponderance of evidence, rather than any definite proof beyond reasonable doubt. Because as you know, in spite of all the propaganda which has been made for decades in this matter, neither in Archaeological Survey of India report nor in the proceedings in the court it could be proved that a grand Ram temple was demolished to construct Babri Mosque in 1528. So the demolition of a temple, which was the central argument of Hindutva forces, was not proved. Now, since they gave this land to Ram Lalla, the court thought that there has to be some reparation to the Muslim party. And they have also accepted in the judgment that it's a small piece of land. If we give it to both the parties, none of the parties will be able to freely enjoy this land. And therefore, I think, in my opinion, correctly, the court gave 5 acres of land. But it would have been much better had the court decided the case in favor of Muslim parties and then used its power to do complete justice and said, since mosques no more exist, the land is not sacred for Muslims, therefore we are giving the land to the Hindus. But the court's conclusion that Muslims were not able to prove their ownership and possession of the land and of the mosque, that is not right. Babri Masjid is not that disappointing as the CBI court judgment, because in Babri Masjid almost all the arguments which Muslim parties were making were accepted, except that in the final conclusion the land was not given to them. But here was a case where we all witnessed on the TV that a mosque was brought down, that people who were on the stage, they were rejoicing each other, embracing each other, distributing sweet, provocative slogans were raised, and therefore I think it was open and shut case. Number of stay orders which were passed in this case is starting from 1949. Each stay order changed the meaning of status quo, and each time this meaning largely went against Muslims. This is the first disappointment. The second disappointment is, in a suit, either one party wins or another party wins. Allahabad High Court Lucknow bench's judgment of 2010, which today looks better outcome, giving one third to all the parties, as far as civil litigation law is concerned, was not correct on this point, even though it was far more holistic and pragmatic, that no one feels frustrated. 3 Supreme Courts lack of will to protect the Babri Mosque from demolition, when there was huge evidence which was before them that the government is violating its promises, huge congregation of people with all kinds of demolition weapons have reached Ayodhya, the court, by permitting what they called quote unquote Kar Seva, and where they said only some recitations of bhajans will take place, I think that was very disappointing. And finally, this whole finding of the court that Muslims could not prove the possession of the mosque and that prayers were held here from 1528 to 1856 is hugely problematic and hugely disappointing, because this was a period when you had a Muslim rule. Now, if Muslim rulers were there both in Delhi as well as in Awadh, you had such a prominent mosque. How come in this mosque people were not praying? When you have a grant by the British saying for the maintenance of mosque, and they record that this being given in continuance of earlier system. So you have a paper of royal grant, you have inscriptions which clearly mention that the mosque was constructed at the orders of Mughal Emperor Babur by Mir Baqi. This is disappointing. When you have differential of burden of proof, asking one party to discharge heavier burden and other party to get away by faith, it is hugely disappointing and frustrating for me as a legal academic. Because what really happens, that such cases have long-term implications on the impartiality of the justice system. Ultimately, people's faith in judiciary should not get shaken by any judgment. People should come to courts. They do come to courts with the hope that they will get justice.